Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to start the men's illustration series. So first we will begin with the male fashion figure. So this is the prep which we need to do first. You can see on my sheet I have taken this particular measurements. So we are going to start with the 10 head croquis. Here you can see I have divided the sheet in these lines and each head is equal to 1 inch. So first thing is very simple. You just need to cut one line and then divide the line with 10 heads, that is 1 inch equal to 1 inch. So you have to divide the line into 10 equal inch. So I hope you understood the first thing. So you can see here I've taken all the measurements. Now we will start with the center line, that will be our balance line. So here just in the center I will cut one line and you can erase that line later on. So while you are making this line, you can just use this kind of dotted manner or a very light line which you can erase later on. Now this line is very helpful to us. It will help us to create a balance between the body structure, and we can call this as the balance line. Another important thing is that while you are practicing your croquis, always use HB pencils, or you can use a mechanical pencil with pointed tip so that you get very precise marking. So let us begin with the croquis now. Here I shall try to use very minimalistic measurements so that it's easier to understand and to practice also, and I myself use these measurements in my illustrations. So you can see from 0 to 1 would be your face. So one head is your total face, that is from 0 to 1 inch. After that we will do the next point, that will be your shoulder line. So after your face you draw the neck and join it to your shoulder. So shoulder line you can put it at 1.5, that is 1.5 inch, or you can put it at 1/4 inch also. So particularly at the shoulder point, if you want to keep the neck little longer, you can take it till half inch more. And sometimes we can play around with the sizes of the neck also, like if you want it to be little longer, we can take the point more below. But generally I prefer doing it at 1.5. So after the neck we will add some more points. So here you can see I have taken another point at 3.5. As you can see guys, I'm writing the measurements on this side and the points on the other side of the line so that it's easier for everyone to understand what are the markings. So let me first put the measurement lines, then I will write the markings on the other side. So here also after the fourth number, that is at the 4 number head, I will put another half. So here the measurements are very simple, either half or 1/4. So when you are very new to the croquis, it's advisable that you start with the lines very carefully and put your markings in a very precise manner and keep on practicing those lines. After this point you can do your croquis freehand only, and you can manipulate your own markings here. Like it's not necessary that every time you need to use this particular measurements. And also this is my style of drawing the croquis, so there would be numerous other ways of doing the croquis as well. So yeah, there is no particular way of doing it in a single manner. So guys, here also you can see at 6.5 also I've cut this line, and we are done with all this half inches on this side, as you can see. And at this point we will put the markings on the other side of the paper. So now you can understand the points, and as I keep on drawing the whole croquis, everything will be very clear to you guys at where the placement would be exactly. So here very quickly I will put another point at 2.5, that will be our chest line. So here just after the shoulder we will add the chest line, and after the chest line we will add our another line, that is the waistline at 3.5. So here I have put all the points in the torso section of the body. So we can start building the croquis now, and we will begin with the face. Now see the balance line. It's a very useful that in the balance line what happens, whatever measurement you start from one side, it has to be exactly equal on the other side. So it can be something like a symmetry line, like a mirror image, where you do the exact thing on the other side of the line as well. So we can term it as a balance line, which is creating this perfect balance. Now since this croquis is a front facing croquis, so we need to maintain that balance in both the side. So here you can see I've started with the face and how I'm breaking down the line. First I started with this oval shape of the head, then I've created this two lines on each side of the balance line, then I've done this chin and I'm joining the jawline with the chin portion. So not a complete oval shape but more like a box kind of shape for the men's face mostly. So after the face is done, we will do the neck portion now. For the neck also, when you are doing the neck, just consider your balance line. Whatever distance you are putting from the balance line on this side, do the exactly same on the other side. Now you can use the scale for your reference, but it's better to use freehand mostly. It doesn't need to be particularly exactly same. It can be little here and there. And yeah, when you are very new you can use the scale for better understanding, but as you keep on doing it, try practicing more with your freehand. After that, for the shoulder you can put 2 points. So yeah, use lines, use dots to make your connecting lines which you can join. And here for the broadness of the shoulder, you can see guys, on the side of the balance line it can be little more than 1 inch. Like particularly I like to do it freehand, but if you are using the scale it can be little more than the 1 inch. I'm showing you here with my scale, but the catch is that whatever distance you are putting on one side, it has to be very similar to the other side as well. Okay, so for the shoulder here, you can see this reference picture guys. The men's shoulder is little bit different than the woman's shoulder. There is a nice drop at the shoulder line. So just at the shoulder point, you can do this drop, and also their neck is visibly little broader than the woman's croquis. So if you have done your women's croquis, you can see this is a little change when we move to our men's croquis. Just this little bit change, especially at the shoulder section. So after the shoulder line, you can move to your chest section here. So we have put the chest line at 2.5. So I'm starting with the corner silhouette first. And in the men's illustration, the men's croquis, the thing is the body doesn't have much of the curves. So it's mostly like a boxy kind of figure if you compare the men's croquis with female croquis. So here, avoid doing much of the curves, use kind of very rigid boxy kind of shape of lines. It's always better that you study the shape from a reference picture, you study it very closely and you manipulate that same silhouette in your croquis. It's not about doing everything in the realistic manner, but you can understand the silhouette very carefully and do the same, and like consider that changing into your own style of doing the croquis. So particularly this is my style of doing the croquis. I like to take much of the reference from a realistic point of view. So after that, the waist section, you can see guys, in the waist section it won't have much of a curve, but a slight curve you can definitely add at the waist section. So just a slight curve at the waist, and then we will move to the hip line at 0.4, that is at 4th inch. And after that we will finish the upper portion of the body. So in this portion you can see what are the changes. It's quite different from the normal female figures we have been doing. So moving to the men's illustration can be little tricky at the first stage, but as you do your croquis you will get to understand how it's little different and where are the point of changes. So here you can add little definition to the muscles, to the abs, and you can see how it's divided into each line of the head. In each head I'm adding this one of that abs section, and after that you can also finish it off with the belly button. So here you can definitely add these lines at this point, or you can do this at later part also when you are illustrating, when you are coloring it. So after that we will do the lower portion and we will finish it off at 10th head. So after the hip portion we will finish off the upper torso, that is the torso portion of the body. Now torso portion is the body without the limbs, that is hands and the legs. So this portion consists of the upper portion of the body. So here at 4.5 we will finish it off with the crotch portion. So after this we will connect it with the legs. So in the legs we have two joints, one is at the knee, another one is at the ankle. So here at 6.5 I have given the knee portion, and you can start with the knee cup, that is a knee joint, the knee bone, and you can use circular lines also first to build the joint, and also see the distance. If it's like standing in a very particular manner, you don't want any movement here, so both the legs will be equally divided, that is the distance between the legs will be same. So here also just take care of that, and once you are done with the knee portion, like make the markings and then you start joining the lines from the crotch portion. So here again I'm not adding much of the curves, kind of keeping it very simple, like not too much of the curves but little on the bulky side. Since the hip portion here I've kept it little wider, so in the hip portion also, like you can use 1 inch on both of the side, like if you are using scale. But normally what happens, the broadness of the figure, it can be a variable, like there are different sizes of the body starting from the extra small to extra large and XXL. So yeah, that depends that how much you want to keep for the broadness of the figure. So that can be totally manipulative, and it's better to do it freehand mostly without getting stuck to one kind of measurement for the broadness, which I prefer normally. So here also guys, when you are doing your croquis, for the vertical point here I've already shown you the 10 head, but for the broadness you can definitely try your own measurements as well depending on the size. For the legs, now I am doing the ankle portion. So after the knee, what you can do, first draw the ankle portion, you can draw the ankle bone here, and then you join from the knee to the ankle point. So this way it becomes easier to join. So whenever you are doing your croquis now, use points, connecting points, which is like doing the dots first and then you are using your connecting lines. So this kind of curves, like here you can see, when you are making your curves, it will come along with your practice. So initially what you can do, use straight lines to practice the measurement. If you are very new, you can definitely start with something like a mechanical croquis using very straight lines and shapes like boxes, triangles, whichever you are comfortable in. But here I've shown the more realistic approach so that we can start practicing with the curves. So this way you can find your own comfort zone, like where you want to start exactly, how you want to start exactly building the lines, and the more you practice your curves in this portion, the more you get used to it. So here again I'm showing you with my scale that what kind of measurement you can give for the broadness. You can see guys, it's something like little more than half inch. I have done it with free hand only, but still I'm showing you with scale that normally this is how can be the broadness if you are doing the croquis for first few times. And the lower portion of the leg, that is below the knee, will be little thinner than the upper portion that is above the knee. So after your ankle is done, it's time you join with the foot end, and it's very important that you keep good amount of space, that is total one head for doing the footwear, that is doing the foot end. So I hope you guys understood that what these lines and the points represent. At the ankle line you can see we have that ankle joint, at the knee line we have that knee joint. So yeah, at those lines we basically give the curves or that joining portion, that joining point at those lines. So here at 10 head, below the 10 head I'm writing foot end. So this is the last point of our 10 head croquis. So now we are moving to our hands. In the hand portion also you can keep a certain measurement so that your hands don't become like too long, and it can be like proportionate to the figure. So at 5 point you can use this 5 point, that is the 5-inch line, as the hands end line if the hands are kind of straight, and also the 3-inch line as the elbow. So we have certain joints in our hands also, like the elbow joint, the wrist portion. So yeah, when you are drawing the hands also, keep these points in mind. It's not like a straight line for the hands. We have the curves also in the hand portion. So for the men's croquis, the slight difference is that it's kind of little bulky on the side rather than a skinny hand. But yeah, again that totally depends how you want to keep the hands for this one. Here I'm trying to keep it little on the bulky side, and just maintain the proportion of your hand with the legs. It should not be like the legs are too bulky but the hands are very thin. So maintain that proportion for whatever bulkiness, that is a broadness you want to create. And you can see in the elbow portion I've added this slight joint, and most of the work of the shading portion we can do while we are coloring it. And for the hands end, you can see guys, for the hands end you can show the bottom portion of your fingers, like the hands should finish just above the 5-inch line. If it goes too below, then this line it might look little odd or like look little bigger for the proportion of the 10 head croquis. So yeah, this is just about the proportion, what kind of proportion you are creating more towards a realistic point of view. Otherwise, if you are doing more like a stylized croquis, that can be very manipulative where you want to take your lines. So yeah, for your stylized croquis that can be very manipulative. Here also on the other side you can see I'm just trying to use my balance line as a perspective point. I'm trying to create the exact same symmetry on the other side also, and creating this muscles in the hands, and in the elbow portion creating this small kind of line to show the elbow joint. So you can see at the elbow portion it has this slight bent, after that again it's starting and it will finish off at the wrist. So don't ignore the wrist portion, do the wrist portion, and after the wrist only your hands and the finger will start, right? So in the fingers also I'm just doing the outer silhouette. I shall be making a separate video on the hands and the placement of the fingers, like if the person is holding any kind of accessory in the hand like bags and all along with the garment. So yeah, the placement of the fingers and everything. So yeah guys, stay tuned for the rest of the videos, and I shall be making a complete playlist on the menswear series. So yeah, for now you can practice with the outer silhouette of the hands, and as you can see after the wrist portion there is good amount of 1 inch for doing the fingers. Okay, so just from the wrist portion to the hands end good amount of 1 inch, like one head position is there where you can show your fingers and everything. So again, that depends on the placement of the fingers, how the fingers are placed, and if the hands are like there is some kind of movement or not. So for the basic, for the start, you all can practice in this way, and we can keep on manipulating the movement as we go along with the next upcoming croquis and the figures. Also, other details to be added here is the neck bone and the shoulder bone, that is a collar bone, and little bit muscles you can show here and there. But for now, you can definitely practice just the outer silhouette, and more of the detailing inside the figure you can do it while we move to the coloring portion. So here, let us compare between the male and the female croquis. This is the latest version of the measurements which I have been following in most of my professional works. So here in the shoulder line, you can see guys, both the croquis have the shoulder line at 1.5 inch. And yeah, if you want the shoulder line to be little longer, put it at 1.5. Otherwise, you can put it at 1 and 1/4 also. The female has the chest line, that is the cleavage line, at 2. So this is how I like to do on my female croquis. I put that point at 2 inch, and for the men's I do it at 2.5. The waist portion, you can see the waist portion, it's little above in this measurement line, you can see it at 3, and for the male the waist is dropping little bit at 1/2 inch below. So similarly here also, the crotch portion for the female, I have put the point at just 1/4 below, but again that can be very manipulative. You can take it till 4.5 also, just like the male one. So the changes are little bit here and there. It can be little between that 1/2 and 1/4. So I have avoided any kind of confusing measurements, and I've tried to keep it very simple. So coming below at the lower body, that is in the legs, you can see in the female the knee I have kept at 6, and for the male I've dropped it at 1/2 inch below. So what happens if you look at the legs of the female, it's giving this kind of little longer leg look. So mostly if you are doing female croquis, and even if you are doing stylized croquis, we like to keep the legs little longer. So the basic difference, I think you all can understand what is happening here. The female torso, that is the upper body, the torso is looking very small for the female, and the legs are looking bigger, longer, that is the legs are looking longer. While on the men's illustration, the figure, the upper body, the torso is looking broader, and the legs are looking smaller, I mean not too long. So more of a proportionate manner in the menswear compared to the female illustration. So the basic difference is this much. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and if you are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. Also press the bell icon for the notifications of my upcoming upload from this menswear series. I shall see you all very soon. Till then, take care. Bye bye.